users have been become accustomed to really good experiences on the web, and now they're coming to a mobile experience and they're expecting at least as good as the web, if not better. And one thing that we have seen time and time again is that to date the revenue efficiency of mobile has lagged behind the web. I've had conversations with e-retailers who basically said, our traffic is growing on mobile, but our conversion rates aren't tracking with that. Our conversion rates aren't increasing as well as they had in web. When web traffic was growing, we were also able to continue to get incremental improvements in conversion rates. In mobile, they're not seeing that. And so today we're going to talk about what are some of the steps that you can take to address those things. So when we're talking about key performance indicators, it's first and foremost, it's important to identify the right KPI for your app. There are lots of different KPIs out there, as there are lots of different apps. But at the end of the day, we believe if you're able to identify the right metric and then have a continuous process of optimizing that metric, then at the end of the day, you're going to improve the overall revenue-producing efficiency of your app. But before we go there, let's take a look at some survey results that Artisan gathered just a little while ago in our annual holiday survey. And you're going to see a few very clear messages from your prospective buyers. One is that they're looking for clear and detailed product images. Two, they're looking for not only secure but easy checkout processes. They want better product descriptions, and they want better search, or easier search, I should say. And they've, of course, coming from the web, they're getting very used to having a personalized user experience, remembering who that user is, and addressing that specific need or level of customer that customer happens to be. And as always, in the Apple way of doing things, very easy and clean user interface. So these, 6 characteristics that your customers are looking for are ultimately going to determine the outcome of what your KPIs actually look like, and if your app is going to be an efficient revenue producer. And so coming into the presentation right now, we're going to break the presentation down today into a funnel, and as you can see, a top, mid, and bottom funnel. And what you'll note is that there are different philosophies when it comes to A/B testing in general, and it's really no different when discussing native apps specifically. There's a school of thought that says you should first and foremost always optimize the top of your funnel, because if you're able to optimize the top of your funnel, then you're really able to maximize the total user population coming into the app. And just through brute force, if you do nothing else with your conversion rates down, you will actually produce more revenue dollars because of that fact. There's a bottoms-up philosophy also, and that bottoms-up philosophy is really around, look, at the end of the day, what matters is transactions. And so we are going to make sure that, we are going to take every possible step and make every possible effort to ensure that when a user makes it down to the bottom of that funnel, when they get to that checkout screen, they are going to transact. And the nice thing about optimizing at the bottom of the funnel is that the ROI associated with your A/B testing strategy is very measurable, because it's isolated to right there, and you can see the before and after very well. At the end of the day, as far as myself, Artisan is concerned, as long as you have a testing process, strategy, culture underway, not really sure it really matters that much if you're at the top or bottom of the funnel, but as long as you're testing that, that's really the most important thing. So let's jump in. We're going to talk about the top of the funnel, and what you see here is a report from Artisan's analytics product, and you'll see that we're basically looking at a 4-step funnel flow through a number of different screens, and we're going to start there at the top, and then as we go through the presentation, we will work down through the different aspects of the purchasing funnel. So first, let's take a look at the top of the funnel, as we mentioned, and think about some of the screens that tend to be associated with the top of the funnel. And it's important, as I mentioned before, that improving the top of the funnel is one very clear way, again, through a brute force type perspective, of maximizing the number of users that are going through the app that, logic would say would produce more roll dollars. Doesn't mean you're more efficient, but, again, more users tend to produce more dollars. It's pretty much that simple. So, but here, a lot of folks today are very conscious of cost per install, or CPI. And it's really across these 3 screens or so that we really gain traction. And Corey will walk through a couple of different KPIs in that area. But as you can see, you have like a home screen, you have a sign-in screen, and then you have basically the catalog screen, which for the developers that tend to be, collection views or list views of the different products associated. So with that, let me turn the call over to Corey, and she'll walk you through some very specific KPIs that you may want to consider for the top of the funnel. Corey?
Great. Thanks, Dave, and thanks for the intro. So the first KPI that we'll talk through is the count of first app purchases. And this is defined as the number of first-time app users making a purchase. The count of first app purchases is a reflection of the ease of navigation and the clear product descriptions and images. Jump into it. Great, and the next KPI is sign-in conversion rate. And the sign-in conversion rate really allows you to benefit from emphasizing on simplicity and minimizing distractions in order to attract as many people as possible into the top of your funnel. Experimenting with the time and location of the sign-in screen will allow you to drastically change the sign-in conversion rate. And this is also a really great opportunity to try some personalization. If you're able to say, welcome back, Dave, they may be more likely to sign into the app. The catalog click-through rate. The catalog click-through rate reflects the success of the catalog screen. This is where clear product images and simple navigation can make a really big impact.
Great. So I'll share with you some ideas from a testing perspective. But first, before I do that, but just as a quick reminder of, what are some of the things that your customers told us that they are looking for from the user experience perspective. So one, again, clear and detailed product images. 2, easy and secure checkout process, or in this case, a login. 3, the product descriptions, thinking about how detailed you want to be or how brief you want to be in a product description. Easy product search, personalization, as Corey just mentioned, as well as the overall easy and clean user interface. So the first thing is what we're seeing in this experiment is this idea where you want to keep the user focused. And so one example is you can present them with a home screen and then have them sign in later on. Or here we're saying, let's just get the sign-in done immediately and get that behind us so they're signed in for the rest of the time. Again, you don't really know what is the best process to either let a user wander around a little bit before signing in or having them sign in immediately. You don't know until you actually test. The second example at the top of the funnel in terms of getting users and customers to act is where you give them the main call to action. So on the right-hand side, you'll note 25% off there in the header. So what we did is instead of putting that 25% off maybe deeper in the app on the product detail screen, we moved it up onto the actual catalog screen, the main screen here. And then also you'll see, as you boxed out, we also show the discount of what it was before and after. That's another effective way of moving the promotion up the funnel to ensure that users are clicking and drilling down deeper down into the funnel. So far we've talked about the timing or simplicity of the sign-in, and so far we've talked about pushing the promotion or the main call to action higher up into the funnel. Now, we're going to spend more time on the top of the funnel than in other areas, because we do believe it's pretty important, particularly for newer apps that are actually just getting out into the wild. And here what you'll see with the images, what we're really going to be focused on is the kinds of images that we're going to show them. And there's a number of different ways that you can do that. You can use humans, you want to use animals, you want to use objects, but of course, it's always important to have a very clear call to action. And as you can see in the sunburst, again there, we're showing the before and after price as well. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move down into mid-funnel, and we're going to talk a little bit more about what are the key KPIs and tests that you can do in mid-funnel. And what we're going to talk about here is the product detail screen really plays a very, very important role for us. And on the product detail screen, we'll discuss with you and share with you some ideas around KPIs. But it's always important to think about the images, the buttons, the number of buttons, and always this is right before the moment of truth. So what happens here often determines your average cart size. So with that, let me turn over to Corey.
Thanks, Dave. So the first KPI for mid-funnel that we're identifying is the average referrals per user. And this signals user engagement and how often your user base is telling others about your app. Make sure that your social sharing buttons are prominently located in order to make this as simple as possible. This is a really important one. It's a little bit different than just getting through the actual purchasing process, but people who are engaged enough to actually share your app with others are more likely to make a purchase down the line. And the second mid-funnel KPI that we've identified is the add to cart conversion rate. And this is a reflection of the success of your product detail screen. People are on the screen, and the primary goal is to get them to add whatever product they're looking at to the cart. So take a look at your product descriptions and pay close attention to the simplicity of the user interface, and that will help you improve this KPI.
Great, thanks, Corey. And now for some specific testing ideas in terms of maximizing those KPIs. Here what you'll see is that we're basically just reducing the number of choices. On the control, on the left-hand side, you'll see we have the add to cart. And on the right-hand side, we're just bringing them directly to the buy now, to actually check out. So it's a subtle change, but we believe that sometimes simplifying and minimizing the number of decisions that a customer needs to make can really help your conversion rate. The second example we're going to take a look at is button size. And maximizing button sizes is a very popular strategy these days. And you'll see folks even increase the size of the button of what we did here on the width. They'll also make it a lot taller, or increase the height of the button where it's really maxed out on the screen, and they've paid off. So for those looking to really get quick hits on your on your checkouts, maxing out the button size has proven to be pretty effective. And finally, what you're seeing here is our call to action, and you'll see, you know, ours says buy now or get yours now. You can say buy and save. There are any number of different CTAs or call to actions that you can do, and so it's important now that, you know, you've been on this call today. You may not look at anyone's app the same again, because you may actually now take a closer look at the actual text that you're seeing on the buttons. And for the most successful apps out there, the text that you see in this part of the funnel particularly are not there by accident. They've been tested. And they know that certain text actually produces, you know, better results and better revenue producing efficiency. And finally, you know, what Corey had discussed before about sharing. And, you know, we have customers who have dedicated screens for sharing. It's that important to them in terms of building up their user base. And in this case, what you'll see that we actually detailed out the specific icons that a user could actually share this piece of you know, product, a T-shirt with. And some customers are more simplistic. Some just use a white envelope just to email. Some use text. Any number of buttons you can actually put there. But again, it's very, very effective because, as Corey mentioned, it certainly demonstrates intent by the user. And it's also a great recruiting tool for their friends and family as well. And with that, we're now coming down to the bottom of the funnel, and this is really where the cart screen. And so we'll look at a couple of different options for optimizing the cart. On the form fields, I encourage you to take a look at some other apps that are out there right now and count the number of fields that they are requiring to fill out. I think an app called Living Social does a really nice job of minimizing the number of fields for their checkout. So see how they're doing it, and then think about, from a business perspective, could you do the same thing as it relates to what your credit card processor requires. Corey?
Thanks, Dave. So at the bottom of the funnel, users are either going to succeed in finalizing their sale or fail by abandoning the cart. The checkout conversion rate measures your successes. Here, the really important thing is to make sure that your checkout process is clear and easy to navigate. Otherwise, you risk having people abandon the cart. So in order to measure your failures, you have the cart abandonment rate. A high abandonment rate can signal that people are having a difficult time making it through the checkout process, or that they just had a different intention when they were navigating your app to begin with.
Great. Now let's take a look at some more testing ideas. On this screen, I'm not sure really anyone is going to stack their buttons like this on your screen, but here's the point. Thinking about buttons in a similar way that you do on the product screen, a product detail screen, is only going to help. You know, being able to test, you know, the placement of buttons is always just a good, normal practice, a continual practice of thinking about buttons specific on your cart screen is only going to help you improve the overall revenue producing efficiency of your ad. Here, this is a real experiment. You should absolutely always be thinking about different color scheme in your button. You can use different elements, as you'll note with the green button that I added onto this screen. There's also a little pointer on there. All these little things are incremental improvements to the overall business performance of your app. So color size, position of the buttons, the size of buttons on these different screens, always a really good idea. Okay, so in summary, you know, what we are suggesting and proposing, you know, during our time together today is that, you know, by identifying the right KPIs for your app, then systematically and continually optimizing those KPIs should result in overall better revenue producing efficiency for your app and the overall performance of your app. And it's really going through understanding what your revenue goals are, understanding what the underlying key performance indicators, basically what do you need to have happen in order to produce those desired results. Always test the top, mid, and bottom of the funnel, either direction, whatever works best for your business. If you want to start at the bottom, that's fine too. Rapidly deploy the winning variations. Obviously, the best idea is to use a platform of Artisans, the mobile experience management platform, and then improve your KPIs, and then revisit your goals and circle through again. And so that's our presentation for today. Let me do a quick look. I don't see any questions coming through. If there are any questions, please chat them over now. We'll give a minute or so for that. Otherwise, we will call it a wrap. And that looks like it. Doesn't look like any questions coming across. So thanks again for attending Artisan's Keeping Current session. We do this every week on Tuesdays, and we look forward to seeing you again online. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.